welcome to the Tea with Intuitives podcast. I'm Brittany, an esoteric healer, Akashic record reader, and authentic empowerment coach.
And I'm Meli, an Akashic reader, past life psychic, and channeling coach. Each episode, we answer one of your questions about spirituality, the Akashic records, energy healing, meditation, spirit guides, and the unseen world.
So we invite you to grab your cup of tea while we answer today's question from Tarochi. I'm not sure. Tarochi. It sounds Italian. _Tony at Instagram. Does our intuition make decisions for us, or do we have agency? Before we dive into the subject, Meli, what tea are you drinking today?
Today, I am drinking a chai rooibos.
Yummy. I'm traditional. I have my Earl Grey. I'm obsessed. I can't not. Drink a pot of it in the morning. It's great.
Yeah, I love it too.
So good. Meli, does our intuition make decisions for us, or do we have agency?
I am very determined on this question. For me, we always have free will. Nobody makes decisions for us. We can get influence, and some people get influenced a lot, or they're people pleasers, so they don't really follow their intuition well, but we always have our free will. We always have control. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that if all of us followed our intuition, we would be living in a different world.
Yes, absolutely.
We probably wouldn't be human. We wouldn't be human. We wouldn't have ego. We would just live in a different world. But yeah, free will, that's the hardest part. You have too much agency. I think God was like, you know what? Let's just give this one planet over here in this one galaxy free will and see what happens. Let's just see what'll go on over there.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
But I agree with you. The gray area is our egos getting in the way. And with our egos in the way, we are not attuned to our intuition, and we don't listen to our spirit guides like I did for so many years, decades, is that I would cut myself from the spirit world. And I'm also from a background where at home people would say that it doesn't exist. What psychics do, spirit guides, none of this exists. And so every time I would feel like I was hearing guidance, I would do the contrary, because I was like, I won't be like those people. It's completely ridiculous to listen to that hunch. I'm not listening to my intuition. And I made mistakes for sure.
Also, hey, I got a text last night from a client that said, do you ever get scared, what you just said, sharing our work that we channel, we talk to the unseen, we communicate with spirit guides. Do you ever get scared of sharing that with other people for fear of how they're going to judge or look at you? And no, the answer was really easy. No, I don't get scared. I don't care. I don't care, really. I used to a lot, but when you're 10 and you grow up with a grandma who you see moving her hands and playing with energy and feeling energy, and for almost 18 years energy healing has been in my life. So no, I don't get scared. I'm so rooted in my truth, and actually the only thing that got me to where I am today is my truth and my intuition. A lot of decisions that I made in my life pointed me to the work that I do today, and I'm so grateful that I listen to that inward call versus an external trying to fit into some mold that I really never fit in anyway. And I think you can relate to that.
So when people you don't know come to you and ask you what you do for a living, what do you tell them?
Well, if I'm busy and I don't have time, I just say I'm a life coach and I help manage a spa, and I leave it at that. But if it's someone who I know is very sincere, and it's not just like a social norm or just like a quick conversation of engagement,
Right.
If it's a very sincere conversation, I say I'm an Akashic record reader, I channel energy, and I'm an energy healer. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, I find this to be my spiritual practice is quite personal, and I try to protect myself as much as I can. So in general, I just say I'm a translator and proofreader. And for those of you who don't know me, that's a reality. I do that as well. But I go with my gut. If I feel that the person is really open, and you kind of feel, sometimes you talk with people and you talk about energy and vibes and you see how they react, and you just feel when someone has an open heart chakra. So then I might say, also, I'm a spiritual life coach, and see how that person reacts. And then I will say, yes, I'm a psychic and Akashic reader specializing in past lives. And most of the time my gut is right, and people are like, oh my God, past lives, tell me more about this.
Yeah.
But when I teach in my channeling class, I tell my students that this is personal to them. They don't need to advertise it. I think we need to be careful, because at the beginning, when I wasn't careful, I've had people I didn't know who would talk about the devil, and I was working with the devil. So we don't want these bad energies coming to us. We want to protect ourselves. So I'm really careful with that.
Yeah. Great point. That's
Yeah.
what I was adopted when I turned 10. So my biological family, that's what they think I do. They think that I'm like Antichrist, and that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
But my best friend's stepdad, she invited me for Thanksgiving a couple years ago. We were all there, and he asked what I did for a living, and he's super Christian, doesn't believe in the kind of work that I do. And I just told him, I said, I work with the power of prayer. And when I am working with a client, it's like we do very intentional healing prayer together. And that's how I explain the energy healing. And it is true.
Yes.
It's all
In the end,
intention.
it's all the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, I think it's funny that, kind of a part of what we do, Melanie, is we teach people to open and unblock their intuition and to grow intuitively. So I feel like if everyone's intuition was running the show, we would be out of jobs. Like we wouldn't have a job.
Right. Right.
Because
And
everyone would just be fine.
I would like to give an example of one time that I didn't follow my intuition and how my free will got in the way. There was a bad consequence to this. So it was a while back, I would say like at least 10 years ago. And I was living in Montreal on the top floor of a duplex. And so we would park the car right in front of the duplex, but it's Montreal, so we wouldn't use the car much. It was mostly to go and visit my family, because in big cities, you don't want to use the car. So I was in front of the duplex waiting for someone to come, I don't know who, and my car was just right in front of me. And I was looking at my car and I heard, go check if the car is locked. And I was like, this is completely stupid. I know I locked my car doors. Everything is fine. And I see across the street this gang of teenagers, maybe looking a little bit shady. And I keep hearing, check if your doors are locked. I was like, car doors are locked. It's fine. They're just, okay, shady teenagers. They're just playing around. But usually on that side of the street, no cars were there because it was a school and it was during a weekend. And so it was a bit peculiar that in the middle of that street, there was a car. But I didn't want to listen to my intuition because I thought it was stupid. The thing is, all the doors were unlocked. The next morning, our GPS was stolen, and it was our beloved GPS. We had 2 downloaded voices that we paid for. We had Darth Vader and Homer from The Simpsons, and we really liked it. And it was I really took it on me. It was my fault. I can't remember if it was me or my husband who forgot, but I was like, I got the intuition to check the doors and I didn't listen, and look at where it got me. Fortunately, there was no money in the car. They didn't steal the car or anything, but it was a very good example. And after that, I tried to listen to it more and more. I wasn't super spiritual yet, but now I listen to it. And lately I was walking very early in the morning. Maybe it was like 5:30, 6 a.m. and going to the woodlands near my place. It's at the end of the street. There's a nice woodland. And I don't meet a lot of people because it's so early. And a man walked across me. So, and then I'm like, okay, I'm crossing someone. Hello. And then right when I'm about to go into the woodlands, something in my head tells me, don't go there. And so I'm about to go in and I turn back, and just a few seconds later, I cross this man again. But on this path where I live, there's no reason for the man to go back on his step. So I was like, oh, maybe I was in trouble. But since I turned back and I was still on the street where there are a lot of houses and people could see, nothing happened. So really follow your intuition, follow your nudges. It can help you a lot. And when you start listening to your intuition, you get guidance from your spirit guides. It's not just when you are in situations where you can get things stolen from you, or, there might be an aggression. It's just everyday guidance.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like the GPS story was probably a long time ago.
We were in Montreal, so it was 10 or 12 years ago.
Gotcha. Do you just use your GPS on your phone now?
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course. And it was really, really ironic that my GPS got stolen because I didn't listen to my inner GPS.
To your inner GPS. That's a good one. Yeah. Wow. I know intuition speaks in many ways. There was one time I was driving home, or I was driving back to college, and I was at a red light. And a part of me was like, you should really stop at the Starbucks up here on the left and get a drink. And the other part of me was like, I really don't want to spend $5 on a Starbucks drink right now. I'm a broke kid going to the university and, in Asheville, and like that doesn't seem appealing. So I go, I'm at another red light, and I'm like, you should really stop and get a drink at the Starbucks. Like, I don't want to drink at the Starbucks. I don't have any money. Makes me laugh when I tell this story. Anyway, so I was like, oh, fine, I'll go get a drink at Starbucks. I'll get a chai latte or like a tea, right? So I go and I order my drink, and I'm waiting and I'm standing there, and I just have tea, so I'm not even going to put sugar or milk in a coffee, right? But I have nothing to do. They're kind of taking a long time. So I look down into the sugar, and there's $100 bill.
No way.
Folded up. It was around Christmas time. I should say this. It was like a time where people do Secret Santa stuff, and they'll leave gifts around if they're feeling it. But yeah, $100 bill tucked into the sugar. Like the sugar was like sugar packet. It's not like a cup of sugar, and I was like, oh my God. I really didn't want a tea, but I'm not even paying for my own drink today. Well, I asked the Starbucks people, hey, did anyone report missing any money? There's money here. And then I asked the store manager, hey, has anyone come up to you, reported money? Because this was a lot of money. Like $100. If I was missing $100 bill, I would hope someone would turn that back in, right? So I wait, and they're like, okay, well, no one's reported it. You can have it. And I was like, okay, great.
And they were honest too, because
I wasn't going to take.
Oh yes, someone reported it, but they just take it.
Yeah, it was really amazing. So even though, intuition can lead you, for safety, but it can also lead you to a lot of gifts that the universe provides. Yeah. And I had no money, and I didn't want to spend money on a drink, but yet I got $100.
Right. And there's also something I'd like to mention is spirit guides do plant thoughts into our minds just to nudge us in the right direction. So it does exist, but we have the power to act on it or not. And sometimes they will be very persistent. And if we don't listen, then we might get ill because we just need to stop. We're working too much. We're too much in action. We cannot hear the guidance, and we're really on a bad path. So they're going to stop us. Maybe we're going to get injured, get ill. Maybe we're going to lose our job. Something is going to happen to wake us up. So when it's the little things, not listening to our intuition, it's fine. We have our free will. That's what the spirit guides want. They want us to really have our free will. But sometimes if it's really important and there's repetition, people where something is repeated to you, like you're pulling tarot or oracle cards, you're always getting the same cards, really listen to what it says and take action, because this is what you need. It might not be what you want, but this is what you need.
Yeah. Intuition is not always what you want. I did not want to stop at that Starbucks to get a drink.
Yeah. And oftentimes I don't want to do something like when I got my GPS stolen, I was like, I don't want to go and check if my doors are locked or not, because I've been standing there for 2 or 5 minutes and there are many people and they're just going to think that I want to steal that car. They don't know it's mine. They're going to think, what about me? She's crazy. Why is she pulling on the handles all of a sudden? And so I was very conscious of myself, and I was fearing what others would think of me. And I'm working on self-expression issues and authenticity. I didn't know it at the time, but it's kind of a big thing that I'm working on in this incarnation. But I just wanted to mention it for people who might be going through the same stuff. Sometimes we're very self-conscious, but it's important to listen to your intuition anyway.
Yay. Thank you for listening to the Tea with Intuitives podcast.
If you have a question for us, you can send it at teawithintuitives@gmail.com or via Instagram or YouTube.
Your love for this podcast helps us grow and reach more like-minded souls. So don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast.
Have a beautiful week.